Welcome to the Strategy Sync YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like to hear new books and articles, summaries. You know, when we picture historic market-moving events unfolding, we tend to imagine a very specific, dignified scene, right?
For sure. Very serious.
Yeah, like flashing cameras, traditional journalists, serious analysts waiting to interpret the moment. But let me paint a slightly different picture for you based on the articles we're looking at today.
Okay, set the scene.
So it is January 28, 2026. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is stepping up to the podium in Washington. The room is totally hushed. Traditional macroeconomic reporters are literally hanging on his every word.
Right, waiting for hints about lending rates or tariffs.
Exactly. Or, who his successor might be. But 1,000 miles away, in Orlando, Florida, there is a 23-year-old named Austin Minton sitting in his parents' house, and he is absolutely screaming at his computer monitor.
Just losing his mind.
Yes. And Austin doesn't care about lending rates. He doesn't care about macroeconomic stability. He is screaming because he just won $3.
$3 whole.
$3.
Yeah.
And he won it because Jerome Powell started his speech by saying the exact words, "Good afternoon."
I mean, it is such a beautifully absurd image, but it really perfectly captures the tectonic shift we're unpacking today.
It really does.
Because Austin is participating in what's known as a mention market on a prediction platform called Kalshi. He isn't investing in a company. He is trading on the literal syllables coming out of a central banker's mouth.
And that brings us to the mission for our deep dive today. We are taking the articles provided to us, including this massive feature from Bloomberg Businessweek from March 2026, and we're unpacking the explosive, multi-billion-dollar rise of these prediction markets.
It's a massive industry now.
It is. And we're going to explore how these platforms mechanically function, their incredibly messy relationship with the concept of objective truth, and what happens to our society when every single difference of opinion becomes a tradable asset.
Yeah, it's a lot to cover.
So whether you are actively trying to cut through modern media spin, or you just want to understand why your coworkers are suddenly placing financial wagers on the local weather forecast, understanding this shift is crucial to navigating the modern information landscape.
Because we aren't just talking about a niche hobby on the fringes of the internet anymore. We are talking about a fundamental rewiring of how humans process information, aggregate knowledge, and literally assign financial value to reality itself.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand how a 23-year-old is making money off the words "good afternoon," we need to look at the anatomy of these markets.
Right, the actual mechanics.
Think of a prediction market, like a massive multiplayer online game. But the currency isn't gold or points, it's information. You log on to a platform like Kalshi or its main rival, Polymarket, and you are presented with a question.
Like, will Elon Musk win his court case?
Exactly. Or will it be 65 degrees in Seattle on Tuesday? And you can buy a yes contract or a no contract. Mechanically, if you are right, that contract pays out exactly $1.
And if you're wrong?
It pays out absolutely nothing. Zero.
The brilliance of the mechanism is in the pricing, really. Because these contracts are being bought and sold by thousands of people in real time, the price fluctuates somewhere between 1 cent and 99 cents based on pure supply and demand.
Right.
So if a yes contract is trading at 20 cents, the market is essentially saying there is a 20% implied probability of that event happening. You're looking at a crowdsourced forecast powered by raw financial incentive.
People putting their money where their mouth is.
Exactly. Which theoretically strips away the bias.
Wait, so just to be clear, if I buy a contract at 20 cents and the event actually happens,
yeah,
I quintuple my money.
You do, yeah. And that leverage is exactly why the volume on these platforms is just exploding.
It's wild.
By late 2025, Kalshi had raised funds at an $11 billion valuation, and Polymarket hit an $8 billion valuation. Right before the Super Bowl, users on Kalshi were trading over $2 billion a week.
$2 billion a week?
Yeah, and Polymarket was doing roughly the same.
The scale is staggering. But it's not just retail traders in their parents' basements anymore, right? Traditional legacy institutions are rushing in.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Polymarket secured an investment of up to $2 billion from the Intercontinental Exchange, which is the company that literally owns the New York Stock Exchange.
That's a huge stamp of legitimacy.
Totally. They've partnered with Dow Jones. During the Golden Globes, CBS actually ran a Polymarket Chiron on the screen before each award to show the live odds.
I remember that.
Yeah, and the market correctly predicted almost every single winner. Meanwhile, Kalshi is partnered with CNN and CNBC, and major institutional liquidity providers are stepping in.
Let's actually clarify what a liquidity provider is, because it's vital to how these markets function.
Yeah, good idea.
When you want to place a bet, there has to be someone on the other side willing to take it. Massive financial firms like Susquehanna step in as these liquidity providers. They essentially act as the market's shock absorbers, mathematically offering both yes and no contracts at all times to ensure the market never freezes up.
So Wall Street is officially in the game.
Yeah, their involvement signals that Wall Street views this not as a gimmick, but as a legitimate new asset class.
Which brings up the core pitch, I think.
Yeah.
The CEOs of these platforms, Shane Copeland at Polymarket and Tarek Mansour at Kalshi, they are framing this as a philosophical crusade.
A crusade for truth, basically.
Right. They pitch prediction markets as the ultimate tax on bullshit. We live in an era where trust in traditional institutions is cratering. People don't trust the news, they don't trust polls, and they certainly don't trust political pundits.
Shocker.
Yeah, exactly. So the argument is that prediction markets take debate out of the realm of subjective, noisy emotion and move it into the realm of objective math. Plus, they argue it allows normal people to hedge against real-world risks.
Right, like insurance.
Yeah. If you are worried the government will shut down and you'll miss your paycheck, you can literally buy a contract that pays out if a shutdown happens, effectively insuring yourself. Hold on, I got to push back, though. They can call it a tax on bullshit all they want. But how is this grand philosophical quest any different from a back alley bookie taking bets on a horse race? I mean, humans have always gambled on the future.
It's a really vital distinction to make, and the historical context provided in the articles helps explain why proponents view this as an informational tool rather than just, gambling. The impulse to financialize geopolitical events goes back centuries.
Really? Like how far back?
Try 1591.
Wow.
Yeah, Pope Gregory XIV actually had to ban the practice of betting on papal conclaves in Italian city-states because citizens were essentially using the odds to predict who the next pope would be.
Betting on the Pope, that's incredible.
It is. And in the 18th century, British gamblers wagered heavily on whether the Tea Act would be repealed. During World War II, Londoners placed bets on how many German planes would be shot down over the city.
So treating geopolitical turmoil as a tradable asset is practically an ancient human instinct.
It really is. And in the United States, election betting used to be a highly public, highly respected industry. From 1884 to 1940, election odds were published daily in newspapers, and they were astonishingly accurate barometers of public sentiment.
Wait, they were published in regular newspapers?
Yep, right alongside the news. Over those 56 years, the betting markets only got one presidential election wrong, and that was Woodrow Wilson's underdog victory in 1916. The practice only died down because scientific polling emerged as a viable alternative, and local politicians started cracking down on gambling establishments.
But the academic world never fully let the concept go, did they?
No, they didn't.
Like in 1988, the University of Iowa created the Iowa electronic markets as an academic experiment, and it routinely outperformed traditional Gallup polling.
Which is fascinating.
And then in 1990, an economist named Robin Hanson introduced this wild concept called futarchy. Basically, the idea that you could literally run a corporation or even a government based on prediction markets.
The logic there is just mind-blowing.
It is. You want to pass a new public safety law. You don't listen to lobbyists. You let the market bet on which proposed law will result in the lowest crime rate, and you automatically enact the winner.
The theory has been simmering for decades. But the reason it suddenly erupted into a multi-billion-dollar industry today comes down to a massive regulatory battle over the last few years.
Like the legal stuff.
Yeah, during the Biden administration, regulators were highly skeptical of these platforms. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission, or CFTC, is the federal agency tasked with regulating derivatives. They basically argued that betting on elections or award shows wasn't a legitimate financial hedge, it was just unregulated gambling.
Which, I mean, you can see their point.
Sure. In 2022, they accused Polymarket of operating an unlicensed exchange, fined them $1.4 million, and forced them to block U.S. users. The administration even proposed outright bans on all event contracts related to sports, elections, and awards.
But the platforms fought back. And in September 2024, the dam broke. Kalshi defeated the CFTC in federal court.
That was a huge turning point.
Massive. Mechanically, Kalshi successfully argued that an event contract like betting on which party controls Congress is fundamentally different from a casino game. In a casino, the house is mathematically guaranteed to win over time.
Right, the odds are always against you.
Exactly. But in a prediction market, it's strictly peer-to-peer. You are just taking a financial position against another citizen who holds a different opinion, and the platform simply takes a tiny fee for matching you up. The judge agreed, and that ruling essentially cleared the way for legal political betting in the United States.
And following that court victory, the political winds shifted entirely. The incoming Trump administration openly embraced the prediction market industry.
Really changed their tune.
Yeah, Donald Trump Jr. joined Kalshi as a paid advisor and Polymarket as an investor. The Department of Justice dropped its ongoing investigation into Polymarket, and the platform was finally cleared for U.S. operations, though initially limited to sports bets. To just impartially report the facts here, the regulatory floodgates were completely removed.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because once those floodgates open and billions of dollars start sloshing around these platforms, the theoretical perfection of these truth machines collides with the messy, manipulable reality of human behavior.
It gets very messy.
It's almost like Schrodinger's cat, right? The second you put $1 billion on a specific event, the act of observing and betting on it actually changes the outcome. I call it Schrodinger's bet.
That is the perfect way to frame it, and the real-world examples in the articles are completely wild. Take the saga of Lord Miles.
Oh man, this guy.
Yeah, he is a controversial British YouTuber who announced he was going to spend 40 days fasting in a tent in the Saudi desert, consuming nothing but water. Polymarket opened a market on whether he would actually complete the fast.
Okay.
2 weeks in, his odds of success were trading at 74 cents, meaning a 74% implied probability. But on day 28, he announced his solar electric grid was failing, his camera feed cut out, and he disappeared.
Which means the market resolved to no, and everyone who bet he would fail got paid.
Exactly. But then, internet sleuths started digging into the blockchain. They found that a crypto wallet definitively linked to Lord Miles himself had bet heavily on no regarding his own fast.
No way.
Yes. He walked away with $60,000. He literally created a narrative, bet against his own success, orchestrated a fake failure, and cashed in.
That is insane.
He later claimed it wasn't intentional and blamed a colleague for placing the bets, but the damage to the market's integrity was massive. And it's far from an isolated incident. Think about how search algorithms work. The articles detail a trader who cashed out $1.2 million betting on Google's most searched people of the year.
Wait, how do you insider trade on Google searches?
This trader used a blockchain wallet that had a highly suspicious history of perfectly timed, wildly profitable trades specifically related to Google search data. Or consider the anonymous user who made $400,000 betting on the ouster of Venezuela's president. They placed their final massive bets just hours before U.S. Special Forces raided the compound.
It is the ultimate form of insider trading. You have people with asymmetrical information draining money from regular retail traders. But what blows my mind is that some major figures actually defend this.
Yeah, they do.
Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, argues that insider trading makes prediction markets more accurate. His logic is pure brutalist economics. If a political insider secretly knows a president is going to resign and they place a massive bet on it, the market price instantly spikes.
Right, the price reflects the truth before the news even breaks.
Exactly. It might be deeply unfair to the average trader who loses money, but the market itself successfully performed its job of discovering the truth.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the danger is that the market doesn't just quietly reflect the truth. It actively incites chaos. People start manipulating the real world just to win a digital bet.
Oh, like the WNBA thing.
Yes. During a WNBA season, fans literally started throwing adult toys onto the basketball court during live games. Why? Purely because Polymarket had opened a betting market on whether that specific, bizarre disruption would happen again. People were derailing professional sports events for a payout.
Or look at how it impacts government operations.
Yeah.
A trader publicly tweeted at the director of the Office of Personnel Management. The trader had thousands of dollars riding on a government shutdown market, and the specific contract rules stated the bet would be decided based on whether the OPM website was updated with shutdown guidance by a certain deadline.
So what did they do?
The trader literally just asked the director to update the site, and the director replied on social media, "You got your wish website will be updated." A random citizen influenced federal government communication purely to secure a financial payout.
Which brings us to a massive structural vulnerability. When reality is this malleable and events can be provoked or faked, the final backstop against total chaos is the platform itself. The platform has to act as the ultimate referee to decide what actually happened.
Yeah, and if this whole industry is pitched as a mathematical tax on bullshit, who exactly gets to decide what the bullshit is? Because when you tie billions of dollars to the chaotic ambiguity of the real world, you end up relying on absurd semantic arguments.
The resolution disputes are almost comical when you realize how much money is at stake.
The Zelensky suit one is my favorite.
Oh, it's a classic. There was a market on whether Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky wore a suit to a specific NATO dinner. He showed up wearing a black jacket and a black shirt. Traders spent weeks fighting over the technical sartorial definition of a suit.
Because there's thousands on the line?
Exactly. Does a suit require a tie? Does it require matching trousers? The market eventually resolved to no, causing a massive uproar from people who lost thousands of dollars.
Or look at the corporate earnings calls. Kalshi ran a market on whether someone would say the phrase Warner Bros. During a Netflix call. An executive clearly said Warner Brothers.
Right, the full word.
But Kalshi resolved the market to no, because the executive didn't physically pronounce the word as bros. Or the market on whether President Biden would meet Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau by a certain date.
They did meet, didn't they?
They did. They shook hands on live television. But the people who bet yes lost all their money because the fine print of the market rules stated the meeting had to be explicitly reported by two very specific media outlets, and those outlets happened to not write a story about it.
This raises an important question about the mechanics of verification. Who is actually making these final rulings? The two major platforms handle this very differently, and both approaches have severe flaws.
How does Kalshi do it?
Kalshi relies on a centralized internal team. They employ former finance associates, risk consultants, and literally former debate champions. Their job is to sit in a room, argue over the semantics of a contract, and issue a final ruling.
Imagine losing your life savings because a former high school debate champion decided a black jacket wasn't technically a suit. It feels entirely subjective.
It really does. Polymarket, on the other hand, claims to solve this by using a decentralized system.
Yeah.
Mechanically, they don't have a CEO making the final call. They delegate the outcome decisions to a separate crypto protocol powered by a token called UMA.
Wait, what does that actually mean? A decentralized system for deciding truth?
Essentially, it works like a financial jury system. Anonymous users who hold these UMA tokens vote on what the truth is. If a dispute arises, like the Zelensky suit issue, the token holders review the evidence and cast a vote on the blockchain.
Interesting.
The brilliant part of the mechanism is that if you vote with the majority, you get rewarded with more tokens. If you vote against the majority, your tokens are slashed, meaning you lose money. It is designed to financially incentivize everyone to vote for the most obvious, objective truth. The more UMA tokens you hold, the more weight your vote carries.
Okay, I see the logic, but there's a fatal flaw in that system.
Oh, a massive one.
Data from an analytics platform called Centaura shows that 95% of all UMA tokens are controlled by massive crypto whales, just a tiny handful of users holding enormous quantities of the token. So it isn't a decentralized democratic jury at all.
Not even close.
It is an oligarchy. A few massive players can collude, vote that the sky is green, take everyone's money, and reward themselves with more tokens. They are dictating reality based on whatever serves their financial interests.
And that completely shatters the illusion of trust. If prediction markets are supposed to be the ultimate incorruptible source of objective truth, they cannot afford a trust deficit.
No, they really can't.
Yet we see Polymarket's own social media team falsely posting that the Iranian regime had lost control of Tehran. They completely made it up just to drive panic and engagement on their platform. As one industry observer pointed out, you cannot claim to be the greatest truth-telling machine mankind has ever known while your marketing team is openly lying for clicks.
So what does this all mean? We've moved from Austin Minton betting on Jerome Powell saying good afternoon, to Wall Street institutions pouring in billions, to YouTubers manipulating reality and crypto whales corrupting the referee system. We have to zoom out here.
Right.
What happens to our society, and literally to our human psychology, when we start financializing every single aspect of everyday life?
Well, operationally, the vision for the future is massive expansion. Consumer trading apps like Robinhood and Coinbase are already building prediction markets directly into their interfaces. The stated long-term vision from Kalshi's leadership is to literally financialize everything. They want to create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion. Polymarket is heavily exploring attention markets.
Attention markets, you mean betting on whether something goes viral?
Precisely. You aren't betting on whether a new pop song is objectively good. You are betting on whether it will hit a specific number of Spotify streams by midnight. You are betting on the metrics of human attention.
This is where the psychological toll becomes profound. Natasha Schull, a cultural anthropologist who studies the mechanics of gambling addiction, points out that prediction markets fundamentally alter how we perceive reality.
How so?
They slice the world up into micro events. When you quantify every passing moment with a price tag, you reduce your actual human experience of it.
It changes how you engage with your environment completely. If you are holding a contract in an attention market for a new song, you aren't listening to the melody to enjoy the art. You are listening, as Schull describes it, with two sets of ears. You are trying to experience it while simultaneously calculating how the rest of the market is going to value it.
Wow.
You aren't watching a Federal Reserve speech to understand the trajectory of the global economy. You are listening for a slip of the tongue so you can win $3.
Although, to be fair to the platforms, there is a flip side to that hyper-engagement. Austin Minton, the trader from our introduction, admitted he never cared about macro politics before he started trading. Now, he's actively reading up on the history of the George W. Bush administration just to find an informational edge for his bets.
That's a fascinating side effect.
Yeah. The market creates an undeniable, intense financial motive for regular people to educate themselves about the complex mechanics of the world.
It really is a double-edged sword. To synthesize everything we've explored today, prediction markets have evolved from theoretical academic experiments into a multi-billion-dollar financial juggernaut. Mechanically, they offer a fascinating high-speed aggregation of human knowledge that can absolutely rival and often beat traditional polling. But right now, the ecosystem is riddled with insider manipulation, bizarre semantic refereeing, and the very real danger of turning our shared reality into a giant high-stakes casino where the truth goes to the highest bidder.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought to consider. Building on the reflections of Robin Hanson, the economist who pioneered so much of this theory decades ago. Right now, legacy media, PR firms, and traditional institutions largely control the narrative of reality.
Right. They act as gatekeepers.
Exactly. Deciding what is important, what is fringe, and what is true. Hansen points out that traditional journalists are seen as proper, respectable people who are trusted to manage this flow of information carefully.
Prediction markets threaten to violently rip that control away from those respectable gatekeepers and hand it over to a chaotic, financially motivated, entirely unregulated crowd. As we move toward a near future where you might be able to buy a contract on your boss's words in a corporate meeting or short the success of your friend's new marriage.
Oh man, don't give him ideas.
Too late. The ultimate question isn't just whether prediction markets are mathematically accurate. The real question is whether we as a society are actually prepared to hear the ruthless, uncomfortable truths that the crowd reveals.
Because at the end of the day, when the market speaks, it doesn't care about politeness, it doesn't care about context, and it certainly doesn't care about your feelings. It just cares about the payout. And whether you are Jerome Powell trying to navigate a fragile global economy or Austin Minton waiting for the words "good afternoon," we are all going to have to learn how to live with the odds. Please remember to subscribe and like for more deep dives into the articles shaping our world.